It's a bit earlier today, but it's overcast, so the temperature's only 33 C or 91 Fahrenheit. This morning I've been busy. I actually went over to the local Ace and I talked to Joe, and what we discussed was the epoxy. I got back and started doing some research online about the epoxy. It's not food safe in a clear formula, at least from this brand, and the temperature rating is only up to from minus 40 to up to 200 Fahrenheit, or which would be minus 40 to about 90, 93 centigrade. And so I ended up going back. I did more research. I was on Blade Forum, and for I can't remember what they call it, unsomething wood, which they recommend for doing your knife blades. One of the recommendations was the Birchwood Casey Tru-oil gunstock finish, followed by the Birchwood Casey gunstock wax. So I went back and I got that, and I talked to Joe again. And hold on, I need to grab the knife and the spatula. When I went back and talked to Joe, I showed him the pieces that I've been working on, and I particularly showed him around the pins, how it needed filled. And he said, you know, we used to have a furniture maker. He said he's too old to do it now, but he used to come in and he used to get our shavings from the key cutting machine, the brass shavings. And then he'd take it and he would make a putty using wood glue and use it to fill around metal ornamentation. Now the keys aren't all brass, they're chrome coated, chrome plated on some of them. But I got quite a bit here. Actually, I was going to see about putting it into these two jars, but I didn't bring anything to scoop it with, although I did get the funnel. And now I'm thinking that maybe I don't have enough jars to put it in. I don't have a coffee can, and anyway, coffee cans aren't cans anymore. I'm going to grab something and scoop this a little bit, and then see about making putty out of some of this brass. I'm going to start by transferring the brass into these jars. Found a can I can use. I'm going to clean up the rest of this. I'll get out a brush and do that later. I don't want to damage anything, especially my feet. It is sharp. I don't know how old my glue is. I'm going to have to do a test on making some putty. But while I was looking around this morning, some things I came across: wood putty, wood putty, wood putty, wood putty, Minwax polyurethane, and they're all options, but I still think that I'll go with the Birchwood and Casey gun stock finish and wax. I'm gonna go get a brush, sweep up this brass that's on the makeshift bench here, and I'll be back. I haven't put a lot of brass in this cup, but I'm just doing a test anyway. Probably should have done something with the metal, broke it up a little more somehow. However, I'm gonna try to put a little bit on where I did the test peening, just to see how it works. I'm gonna use one of these empty holes if possible. Mixed up probably more than I needed. There's still considerable amount in here. I could probably wash the glue out, but I don't know how I would filter the metal out of the glue. We'll have to see. I might store it just airtight. I should be okay. I'm gonna clean up, put stuff away, let this sit and dry the glue, and we'll see how this looks later this evening. And it may be a solution for filling where I went too deep on the countersinks and where the pin bent, etc. on these utensils. The test piece here has dried, and I'm gonna try filing it a bit. I don't think I'm going to use it. The metal is too big in there, the shavings, and it's not getting as smooth of a finish as I'd like. I did find the file. Sorry, I've been cooking. Rasp and file, and it's just a comfortable little tool. I've used it quite a bit. I'm going to clamp this down. I've got my portable clamp system set up again. I'm going to do that, and then I'll file it a bit and see how it looks. Zoom in a little bit here. Well, I just managed to exhaust more batteries, so we're trying out the rechargeables. The metal actually doesn't look too bad, except for, like I said, I think it's too large of pieces, and it's not getting a clean enough finish like I'd like. So I don't think I'm going to use that. I may still. However, what I've decided to do is just keep sanding a little bit more on the sides of the handles, and then maybe shaping the edges. But let me get that started. I don't know if the camera angle is showing it. You can see where the file, where I've done, it's helping, and I think I like it. I may go a little bit more. I don't want to go too much. I did keep the leftover brass putty that I made, and I may fill it, but I'm going to do a little bit more and see if I can do something without having to fill that. Like I said, I don't like the look of that, and I'm not going to put solid finish. I don't want that metal maybe falling out. I did that again with the file. They're still showing some recesses around the pins. However, I think for now I'm going to leave it and move on to the knife, do a little bit more filing on it. I may do some tests with wood putty to see how the different types I have look against the wood. But for now, I think I'm going to move on to the knife, and then I'll get out the sander and do some sanding. Get a better finish. It's looking better. Now I'm going to drag out an extension cord and go borrow the sander. I'll be back when I get that done. Really wishing I had that 1+ quarter sheet from Ryobi, but for now I'll do what I got. It is my intent to take off some material in this process, so I've actually changed out this adhesive coated piece that I had from working on the table and chair legs and put on a new piece of 100 grit. I don't want to take too much off, but I do want to try to clean that up and also shape a little bit better, so this is a smoother transition from the side to the edges. Over that with the sander has actually made some of these seem more pronounced and others not so much. I'm going to work on rounding these edges and trying to hold it and everything else. I've managed to forget how to use the camera today. Totally missed recording that last little piece. I have rounded this side and sanded it a little bit more. And you can actually see how this side is smooth and this is abrupt 90 degree. I'm going to work on sanding this side again and work on rounding it, but I think that it's definitely an improvement. The feel of it is much better with this rounding. Still got to think about filling those holes. I countersunk them too deep, but I'm going to go back to the sander for a minute. Even just using the 100 grit paper, you can see a difference between the filed versus the sanded. I still need to run around the edges. I forgot to do that. And then I'm going to move on to the spatula. But it's definitely improving. Once I do the spatula with the 100 grit, I'll move on to the 150 and progress through the paper. I actually did buy some 400 grit and some 600 grit, but that will be hand sanding. Definitely not today. Well, I moved to the 150 grit paper, at least so far on the spatula. The wood's different, so you can't really judge by that, but the feel is definitely a little better. The recess is still showing around these pins, but maybe with a few more passes, with a few more grits of paper, that'll change. I did round the ends here. Oh, I need to do this one a little more. I still missed the spot. But I'm going to move on to the knife with the 150. I'm sweating like crazy. It's actually quite a bit warmer now than it was earlier. About 6 or 8 degrees Fahrenheit. I just ran some sandpaper over this just to do some testing, and that actually looks better now that it's got the sandpaper over it, where I did that brass putty. I don't know, I may use that after all, but for now I'm just going to do some testing. I don't have the stuff, so I'm going to get it. I got out the putty, and this one is a natural pine. I think that's definitely too light and too yellow for the wood, so we'll set it aside. This is a golden oak. That one has potential. And this one is early American. And this one I think actually has the most potential. I'm going to give it a few shots. I might even try this natural wood filler that I got from Ace. That we'll see what color it is. I'm going to get these open and give a few passes on this test piece and see how it looks. Got to go get the paint can bottle opener for this one. This is actually a solvent based. I'm not sure on the others. Yeah, that's it's not a bad color, but it needs, well, let's just see how it looks here. I'll let that dry and give it a sand tomorrow. We'll go from there. Okay, putting the golden oak closer to the tip. Oh, this is hardened on me. Not good. Have to see what I can find out about softening that. Just scraping my putty knife here on the edge. This is the early American, and it's also hardened, but not as much as the oak color. It's still working, at least into the recess there. I'm gonna let these sit out and dry, put them on edge so both sides can cure. I'm gonna put everything away. I think I'm gonna call it a night. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy. If you like, you know what you can do. Have a good one.